Lost Girl. Stella is quiet. That's what she's known for. When I enter the tiny apartment, I have to duck under curly-cued streamers Mom has cheaply duct-taped to the ceiling, and because the space has far exceeded maximum capacity, I am forced to practice my obstacle course skills to squeeze through. Happy birthday, Stella. That's what Mom had hung on the giant banner above the TV. That is what we shout when my sister walks in. But Stella is shy, and that seems to be everyone's favorite thing to tell her. I don't really understand it. Maybe they thought she wasn't aware. Maybe calling her out would somehow make her more comfortable. Seems doubtful to me, but that's what everyone was doing. These past few weeks has been my first visit home in a little over 2 years. Nothing personal, just the price of picking a college so far away. Stella and I are a good number of years apart, and the extent of our sisterly bond only rises a few notches above a friendly acquaintance. She's changed a lot from the little 9-year-old in princess pajamas I remember. I expected that, of course, and was pleasantly surprised when a much taller version of her met me at the airport with Mom. Things have been okay, but now even our acquaintanceship felt a little too distant. Like we were just a couple of tenants in the same apartment, or that neighbor you smile and wave at before moving on with the rest of your day. There's no checkered past that can explain the growing divide, no bitterness or jealous resentment layering from past years to form the glacier between us now. We're just strangers, and as Stella's birthday party stretches on, I realize I'm no different to her than the rest of these people. Just another face to fill the pictures Mom will take on her phone. When it's time to open gifts and blow out the candles on her cake, we gather around Stella. Her lips wire up into a smile, but I can see her fingers tugging the hem of the plastic tablecloth until it is eroded into confetti Mom will make me sweep up later. After each present, people expect Stella's face to liven in happy surprise, but her reactions are far from any bold exclamations, and so everyone can't resist talking about her defining character trait again, only now they aren't even talking to her anymore. Her voice is so small, someone says while Stella reads one of the cards out loud. My daughters would have already torn through everything, another says when Stella's fingers delicately undo the ribbon on the box. She's so sweet and tiny, another says after Stella thanks them for the new headphones. And on it goes, all the while my sister offers smiles or light flickers of laughter that feels a bit forced to be, but seems to satisfy everyone else. Another hour passes and I've lost track of Stella, quite the accomplishment considering how small the space is. I look for her everywhere, but she's completely vanished. The group of girls tagged as her friends carry on fine without her. As teenagers now, they determine on making conversation with the adults. Now that all the presents have been opened and the cake's been cut and passed around, there is no need for them or the rest of the room to acknowledge Stella anymore. I ask Mom where Stella is, but her answer is cut short. Her hands are occupied hosting and her gums are busy yapping, so I continue looking for Stella on my own. Behind the TV, her birthday banner has fallen. Nobody makes a move to help me fix it, so I guess I was the only one that noticed. But in the process of rehanging it, movement catches my attention from the corner of my eye. The window seat is completely concealed, curtains practically nailed to the wall on either side. The slight bulge poking through the thick cloth shifts again, and as I creep closer, I observe the room to make sure no one else sees before I slip behind the veil. Sure enough, Stella is here, but she doesn't look up. Her forehead is smudged against the frost-framed window. In the glass, her reflection mimics the slouch of her shoulders, but her eyes are far gone. Motion plays in their depths, but it isn't the cityscape below that moves it. "Hey," I say softly, and when she turns to me, her smile is so warm that it catches me off guard. Had I read everything wrong? Talking to me now, she seems just fine. But a funny feeling runs through my gut, even though Stella is still smiling when Mom forces her back into the spotlight a couple more times. She's portrayed as the star of the show, a sparkling diamond every eye wishes to admire, but something's still not right. Stars can only be known from a distance, and there's only so long somebody can stare at something so far away before losing interest. While I'm home for the summer, I decided to take up some part-time work at the diner around the block. I have a shift tonight, so I leave a little before Stella's party is over. I don't know what to feel as I go, and thoughts of Stella continuously haunt me as I begin the next few hours waiting tables and taking orders. My mind is so preoccupied with my sister that it takes me a moment to realize when she's actually walked in. I'm surprised to see her. By now, dusk is falling and her party is long over, but it's still weird to see her outside the house voluntarily. Or maybe Mom sent her here for something? I abandon the half-swept floor and cross the room to where Stella is squeezing herself into a booth near the back window. She doesn't seem to notice me at first, and I can't recall how many times I've witnessed Stella in this frozen state. Every muscle seized into a stillness only death can rival. In a way, I think she sort of does die, if by death we mean to pass from one world to another. But where exactly does she go? Stella? I finally ask, but I have to repeat her name a couple more times before she's brought back to Earth. Redness slides through her cheeks, and she ducks her head in embarrassment. Oh, sorry. It's okay, I say, trying to lower my voice as much as possible. I hate that she doesn't feel comfortable enough with me to even look me in the eyes. How did this even happen? Guilt tugs at my insides as I try to remember what led us to becoming as close as any passerby on the street. But there isn't a distinct memory that marks any breakage. It must have just been a lot of little things. But what could be done now? What are you doing here? I ask. Are you okay? Huh? Oh, yeah, she says, the smile quickly pinning her cheeks back. But I don't buy it. Well, can I get you anything? I ask, and her head quickly bobs up and down. Can I get 2 strawberry milkshakes? This confuses me. Was someone else coming? I want to ask her, but I can't think of a way that doesn't sound surprised she could be meeting a friend. Instead, I tell her the order will be ready in 5 and start back towards the counter. Well, this is probably good. I'm almost certain Stella didn't have a great time at her party, but maybe now we'll make up for it. My spirits begin to settle, thinking that there is at least someone Stella has connected to, and I make sure to add a few extra toppings to each shake before I bring it back to her table. Stella's gaze is back out the window. She doesn't respond when I set the drinks down, and though I try searching for answers in her face, she is far away and has been lost to us for some time. Enjoy, I say, although I'm pretty certain my words fall flat on her ears. During the rest of my shift, I keep a steady eye on Stella's booth. Both milkshakes sit untouched, condensation dripping off the glasses until twin puddles begin running off the table's edge. The whipped cream is long melted, the cherry on top is sunk to the bottom, and the straws lie askew within the now soupy mixture. All the while, Stella is either staring out the window or writing something on her napkin. I check on her a couple of times, trying not to sound too obvious with my questions, but her answers are just as vague. I offer her new milkshakes, promising to pay for them, but she declines, simply continuing to write on her napkin after I leave the table. It's nearing the time for me to close. People have come in and out of the diner all day, but no one has come in for Stella, and this sinks my spirit to an all-new low. She'd ordered 2 milkshakes, but no one had ever been coming to meet her. I felt so sad. Don't mind her, Caroline, Brendan, my coworker, says when he catches me eyeing Stella. Weird girl, but she always pays the tip. I don't respond at first. He must not know we're sisters. True enough, we don't resemble each other at all. Stella has the ashy blonde and bold freckles of Mom, and is already developing her curvy features while I'm stuck with the awkward linkiness on Dad's side of the family. Truer still, our demeanors are a stark contrast. There's no way Brendan could have guessed we were related, but I'm still annoyed with his comment. How often does she come? I ask. This is the first time I've seen her in here. Usually weekend evenings, he said. Same table, same order, same glass-eyed stare. Creepy. It's good that he walked away then. Although, part of me can't blame him for thinking something's wrong with Stella. She's so out of touch with reality. If I were in his shoes, I might think the same thing. But I know there's more to Stella than what any of us can see, and I hate that I'm about as clueless to what that is as much as Brendan. Stella doesn't make a move to leave until a few minutes before closing. I'm the last worker to leave, but there's no way I'm going home without finally getting some sort of answers out of her. So I slide on the opposite side of the booth, bringing 2 fresh milkshakes with me before she can even get her jacket on. Her face looks surprised, but I smile. Don't worry, I'll pay. Of course she tries to protest, but I won't take no for an answer. Finally, I get her to sit back in the booth and she begins tentatively sipping at her shake. It's quiet for a long while. She shyly avoids my eye, and I have trouble thinking of what I want to say to her. This isn't going as smoothly as I rehearsed in my mind. My eye is mercifully drawn to the series of crumpled napkins she's balled into a corner, her handwriting neatly scrawled over each one. Was this what she had been working on? You know, I could have lent you an extra pad if you wanted to write. I keep my voice light, and her only response is a small smile, so I press on. What were you writing? It's nothing, she says. Really? 'Cause you seem pretty intense over here. I reach out to unball one of the napkins, laying it across a dry spot on the table to examine it further. I'm filled with surprise when I see the careful beginning of a poem. I didn't know Stella liked to write. Well, I didn't know anything about Stella, really. Do you mind? I ask, and she timidly shakes her head before I continue to read. Her words are simple and raw, razoring through me with blinding speed. I don't realize they've carried me somewhere far away until I've completely faded. Time suddenly seemed like a worthless notion. Whether it stopped or ceased to exist entirely, I have no clue. But glittering space surrounds me, too dazzling to think with any reason. There is no ground below me. I walk entirely by the mercy of stardust that paves beneath my feet in curlicute roads, but there is nowhere for them to lead. There is no discernible destination. Bodies of unformed masses are brilliant enough to pull the blackness apart. Colors paint the void like splotches on an abstract, but there is no sense of somewhere. This space is beautiful, but it's chaos. I begin walking, the stardust sprinkling my feet like pixie dust. Somewhere, Stella's in this madness, but how deep? How far? This undiscovered universe is on the verge of life, desperate to form shape and volume. My hand reaches, but I touch nothing. The thunder is scarce, but when it does burst, all space is stunned into submission, and it takes a while for the chaos to recover. Suddenly, Stella doesn't seem so quiet. When I find her, she is as ethereal as the suspended beauty around us, floating weightlessly, as untouchable as a spirit. Far below her feet, morphed by the madness but itching to form, is the markings of a civilization. It is a lost world that has been trampled on time and time again, and Stella can do nothing but watch. Beauty and suspense fill the stretches of nothingness. This must be how it was like in the beginning, when the worlds were first painted and shaped, when the earth was without form or void. But when will the chaos shape for Stella's world? There is no one here but her. Even after I finish reading the words, it takes me a moment to return to this present world. The diner reappears around me as I gently place the napkin aside, but the movement in my hands is somewhat robotic as my mind still recovers. Stella, that was... wow. I finally choke out. She nervously peeks up from behind her milkshake, saying nothing, but there's no way I can just let this go. Were you seriously about to throw this away? This deserves to be written somewhere more concrete, yeah? But she shakes her head. No, I don't want anyone else to see. Why not? Because... Her eyes dart about the diner despite it just being the two of us. I just don't want to. Well, then at least don't throw them away, I say, handing the napkin back to her. Write them down in a journal or something, and one day maybe you'll be ready to show them to someone. She takes the napkin a bit reluctantly. Silence threatens to take back over the atmosphere, but I don't let it. Reading Stella's poem just opened a doorway to connect with her, and I jump right in. I like writing too, I say. This works. Her eyebrows perk up slightly. Really? Yep, but boss always yells at me for scribbling non-orders down, so don't tell him, okay? I say, reaching into my apron for my pad and sliding it towards her. Stella examines a few pages of a flash fiction I've been scrawling on during my breaks, and I'm content for a few minutes as her eyes widen with wonder. You're a lot better than me, she says, but I shake my head. Nah, different doesn't mean better. Besides, I can never finish anything. Why not? Because I don't have all the answers, I say honestly. Don't all stories need some sort of resolve at the end? Like, if I write about loneliness, don't I need to include an ending where the character finally feels at home, even if I myself aren't there yet? I don't think so, she says. Or at least not always. Sometimes, it's better to acknowledge the way things are, instead of the way we wish they were. I can hear the sadness soaked into her words, and this is the first time she's offered her opinion on something. No. It's just the first someone took the time to actually listen. I write about loneliness a lot too, Her voice drops a few notches lower, as if she's admitting to a crime. And I like to leave the endings open, so at least there's a sense of hope, even if it's not certain yet. An open ending? I take another long sip of my milkshake as I consider the notion. I like that idea, I say. Hey, you should help me. Huh? Yeah, come on, it'll be fun, I say. You're the only person who's seen my writing, so naturally only you could be my partner. Really? Her face looks stumped. But you're so good, how come you don't share it? Because I just don't want to, I grin, mimicking her prior words, and for the first time I think her responding smile is genuine. We spend over an hour after closing at that booth. Foreheads practically bump together as we focus over the paper. Line after line begins flowing down the yellow pages, and it isn't long until we slip away. So this is where Stella always goes. Only now, it's not just her. Floating in this ethereal space, this endless plane of chaotic glory, are two specks of shimmering dust that finally begin to collect enough shine to form a pair of stars. I grab Stella's hand, and we watch the ocean of colors converge as if mimicking us. The brilliance reflects off our faces, kaleidoscopic bands skating across our skin. Some ways ahead, a horizon appears, and its thunderous entrance sparks the first peak of a new sun. Crystalline rays spill over, bouncing over the roads of stardust, scattering over the black fields of nothingness, reaching out until the ends link together to begin building the foundation of a rising civilization. Stella was right. We don't need to have everything figured out yet. Hope is just beyond the corner, no matter how obscured it may be from our line of vision. Even when we fly back to Earth, and Stella returns as the quiet girl, and I revert back to just the older sister home from school, the ending of this chapter in the diner is open to a new beginning. Because for the first time since I've come back, Stella looks me in the eye, and I can see the title of strangers fall off our shoulders. Her smile is genuine, and so is mine. We stay for a little while longer, until my phone buzzes with a text from Mom wondering where we are. I begin clearing up our dishes and locking up, and Stella even helps me. As I pour out the slush from the first pair of milkshakes Stella ordered, I remember what Brendan had told me about Stella coming here often. Hey, I say, glancing back at her from the sink. Promise me one thing. No more wasting milkshakes. She looks at me embarrassed, but I quickly continue before she starts apologizing. If I'm going to keep paying for our ice cream each weekend, I want us to go home perfectly bloated and pumped with sugar, so no more giving away our drinks to the sewer rats, okay? It takes her a moment to realize what I really mean, and she smiles. Okay, deal. I'm in good spirits all the way home, and Stella is too. That night, I have trouble sleeping. I can't shake the feeling that something isn't right. When I sneak downstairs for a midnight snack, I notice Stella's birthday banner is still hanging crooked on the wall, and I quickly reposition it until all the letters are sparkling upright again. Happy birthday, Stella. I head back to bed and fall peacefully asleep. Thank you so much for watching. You can check out this story and others on my Wattpad. Please be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to help support my channel, and stay tuned for the next one.